Kim, what is our final main topic today?
All right, guys, this final main topic comes from TK Burton. Greetings, John, Kim, and Ray. Well, Disney announced who will be replacing Bob Iger as chairman of the board, and it's not Bob Chapek. I wish I knew more about Iger's successor as chairman, but for me, the big story here is that they did not select Chapek, who I believe was the front runner for the position. What are your thoughts, and what does this say about the board's current opinion of Chapek?
All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in. All right. Make no mistake about it, this is huge. This is huge. Maybe not exactly for the reason you might think, but of course, we've all known that Big Papa Iger is retiring. He's stepping down. He's leaving Disney. He already stepped down as number one CEO. He already handed those reins over to Bob Chapek a while ago. But he stayed on temporarily to create a smoother transition as the chairman of the board. But that is coming to an end at the end of this year. At the end of December, at the end of this month, he steps down. And they're going to be appointing a new CEO or a new chairman of the board. We've known that for a while. And now we know who it's going to be. It is going to be Susan Arnold, has been selected to be the new chairperson of Disney, replacing Big Papa Iger in that role. Now, if you don't know much about her, not surprised. She's not somebody who grabs the headlines, but listen to this pedigree, okay? This comes to us from the New York Post, who writes, Arnold, who has sat on the Mouse House's board for 14 years and who has served as its independent lead director since 2018, will take the role of chairman when Iger departs the firm at the end of the year, the company said Tuesday. Bob Iger has served as chairman of the board since 2012, keeping the role even after he stepped down as CEO last year and handed the role to Bob Chapek. For the past year, Iger has held the role of executive chairman. Now, this is really good too. Arnold comes to Disney from the Carlyle Group, a private equity giant where she worked as an operating executive from 2013 to 2021. Prior to that, Arnold served as president of global business units at Procter & Gamble from 2007 to 2009. She also held various other jobs at Procter & Gamble, including vice chair of beauty and health, as well as president of global personal beauty care products and global feminine care. She also served as a director of both McDonald's and NBTY.
Wow.
This lady's got a resume.
Go, girl. Okay.
This lady's got a resume.
She's winning.
And Bob Iger also put out a really endorsing statement basically saying there was nobody else to do this job but her. Like, basically, she's been incredible to serve with on the board of directors of Disney for the last number of years, and she's the person to lead this company into the future and all that kind of stuff. A ringing endorsement from Bob Iger. This marks a major, major shift and change in the power structure of Disney because for the last almost 10 years, Disney has had one emperor above all, and that was Bob Iger. Bob Iger was both the CEO and the chairman of the board of Disney. His power was, it's not an exaggeration to say, absolute. He ruled and guided Disney with an untethered hand. Now, of course, the only people that he really had to answer to was, of course, the shareholders. The shareholders loved what Big Papa Iger was doing because he led them through many years, over a decade of unprecedented growth, acquisitions, and success under the tenure of Bob Iger. And during that time, Disney has really been led by a singular focus and a singular vision, that being the person who held the titles of both chairman and CEO, Bob Iger. That is not the case anymore. This is a radical change in power structure over at Disney where there is no longer one undisputed person on the throne. And that's interesting. Now, this also comes to us from the folks over at the New York Post who wrote the following. In a surprising twist today, Susan E. Arnold was elected chairman of the board effective December 31st, 2021. She will replace Bob Iger, who had continued to serve in the role even after stepping down as CEO. He will leave the company entirely at the end of the year. However, it had been expected that Bob Chapek would be named chairman of the board, a perceived vote of no confidence in Disney's current CEO. In recent weeks, Disney's stock price has plunged as investors grow concerned by a lack of content, disappointing Disney Plus numbers, and growing negativity on social media about the company. Now, I should say this. As somebody who is not the biggest fan in the world of Bob Chapek.
No.
Yes, Kettle Supreme. Yes. As somebody who's not the biggest fan in the world of Bob Chapek, I will say this. I'm hearing both in the person writing and asking the question and in that quote that Bob Chapek was considered to be the favorite to also become chairman of the board, which effectively would have meant that he was both filling the seat of CEO of Bob Iger's and Bob Iger's other seat of chairman. And he is not. But to be honest, leading up until this moment, I have personally never heard that Bob Chapek was seriously in the running to be elected the new chairman of the board. I know several people online right now are saying he was the favorite. Was he the favorite? I don't know that he ever was. To be honest with you, to be 100% transparent, I don't even know if he was actually in the running. Now, technically speaking, there are bylaws at Disney that say that an independent director on the board is to become the new chairman of the board unless there are extreme circumstances where the board decides it's in the best interest of the company to appoint somebody else. That's how Iger got the chair in the first place. So to be honest with you, even though a bunch of people are saying online that Bob Chapek was the favorite, I don't even know for sure. He might have been, and I just don't know. But I'm not even sure he was actually in the running for it. So there's that. But that's kind of neither here nor there. There's a new sheriff in town. Oh, wow. Bob Chapek has a new boss. And that boss is Susan Arnold. Now, Bob Chapek is CEO. He is in complete control of the daily operations of Disney. But it is the board of directors that is put together and elected by the shareholders under the leadership of the chairman. It is the board of directors that sets the vision, direction, and overall has to look after the health of the company. It is the board of directors that is responsible to the shareholders to make sure that the shareholders' interests are being looked after and all that kind of stuff. It is the chairperson that can hire and fire the CEO. And this creates a new dynamic at Disney that has simply not been there in a lot of years. And the person who is the chairperson is no longer the person that hired Bob Chapek. Bob Iger, who I think regrets to his decision, but Bob Iger is the one who kind of picked Chapek in maybe Bob Iger's biggest mistake of his leadership. But you know, and Iger wants to give Chapek enough. I believe, you know what I said? I believe, as much as I don't like the job Chapek has done, I believe you got to give him 3 years. I think minimum you got to give him 3 years. You have to understand he took over that company under impossible circumstances, like impossible circumstances. With the pandemic, Disney parks being closed, all that kind of stuff. That was the environment Bob Chapek took over as CEO. And while I am not a fan of the decisions and the way he has led so far, I totally believe you've got to give him at least 3 years. And so, you know that the guy who gave him that job, Bob Iger, was going to give him at least 3 years, maybe more, to see how he can steer the ship and turn it around. But Bob Iger isn't there anymore at the end of the year. And Chapek got a new boss he got to answer to. And it's just going to be really interesting to see where Susan Arnold, where she falls in all this. Yeah. Is she, now look, this is not some newcomer. This woman has a wealth of executive experience. She's probably got a cool head and a steady hand. I don't think she's going to do anything spontaneously or erratic. Mm-hmm. I don't think Iger or the board would have elected her if that were not the case. So I don't expect her to come out of the gates yelling, "Ha ha! I'm in charge now. Chapek, pack it up. You're out of." I don't expect that to happen at all. But he might be on a shorter leash now. Bob Chapek may be on a shorter leash now. Now, maybe yes, maybe no. For all we know, maybe Susan Arnold is going to be his biggest supporter. But again, it's a different power structure than Disney has had in a long, long time. It is no longer going to be one person's vision that guides and leads this company as it has been. And it's going to be real interesting over the next little while to see how this all kind of shakes out. So, Kim, let me ask you, you hear about this, there's a new, look, when it comes to the operations of Disney, Bob Chapek is the CEO. He is the top executive of the company. But the person is the chairman of the board, and we got a new chairperson in Susan Arnold. What do you think about this? What kind of repercussions do you think we're going to see? Or do you really think we're not going to see much change at all?
Oh, I think we're going to see change. I think this is fantastic. I love that it's structured this way. I think when you have someone like Bob Iger that you love, that you trust his decisions, that you're excited about his next move, you don't mind that he's both CEO and chairman. That's an exciting thing because you're on board with his vision. But when you have someone like Bob Chapek that you're sweating going, please do not also make him chairman. Oh my God. You really want to tank the whole ship. I think it's wonderful. I haven't heard about her, but you know what? Her resume speaks for itself. It's fantastic. And I don't think she's got, if you have anyone with a pulse, eyes and ears can understand that the direction that Chapek is taking Disney in, the decisions that he's making, it's not just bad for the company, the morale. When your own people are starting a petition to get you out of there, she sees that, she hears that. And I have a feeling, this is all speculation, don't know anything about her. She hasn't, made a statement that I've heard of yet. But I have a feeling that she's going to come in with the attitude of, obviously I respect the structure, but I have heard from the people, and Disney is nothing without the people, without the fans, without the long-time lovers of Disney, from the parks to the IPs. I think it's really important that she comes in and is kind of speaking for the people, not just popular opinion, but, the optics, the Black Widow. I mean, that whole situation. Are you kidding? In addition to everything else. But I think this is important. I think it's great. And I think that if she has a pulse, which it looks like she does, that she sees and hears, we cannot continue the way things are going. And I'm interested. I would pay high dollar to be a fly on the wall for their first one-on-one meeting.
Oh, yeah. That's and again,
Yeah.
Remember, there is a little bit of a separation of church and state when it comes to the functionality of the chairperson and the functionality of the CEO. And Bob Chapek has got a lot of leeway, but at the end of the day, it is the board and the chairman that are responsible to the shareholders to making sure their business interests are being looked after. And if at any point Susan Arnold sits back and says, the way Bob Chapek is leading this company is not in the best interest of our shareholders and is not in the best interest of our business overall, it's going to be her responsibility to step in and do something. The question is, how much leeway will she give him?
Yeah.
Again, I believe if I'm chairman if I'm chairman of Disney right now, not a fan of Bob Chapek, I'm giving him 3 years. I don't pull the plug on this right now. You have to give him a fair chance. And again, especially considering how terrible the circumstances were that he took over. But after 3 years, if he hasn't turned things around, it's going to be interesting to see what her take on this is. And again, super interesting to see is, how does Disney function now that there is not just one person on the throne? It is not all under one guy's vision anymore. It's going to be interesting to see. Question is for you guys. How do you feel about this? Susan Arnold is now the chairperson of the board of Disney. Bob Chapek got a new boss. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think it's interesting? Did you think Chapek was going to become chairman? Did you know that he wouldn't? Whatever you guys are feeling about this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.